Alright, let's continue working down through my list here. I mentioned in the last episode regarding stop motion, I mentioned the stop motion test photography made for Jurassic Park before they decided to go the CGI way. And speaking of, Jurassic Park is another one of those that I can just watch again and again and not tire of. There's something special about these type of popcorn movies that they're not heavy enough that you never want to see them again, even though they're good, and they're not silly enough that it stops being entertaining after one watch and I've sort of finished with it. It's fascinating, but Jurassic Park is certainly one of those, even though you know everything that's going to happen and everything. I suppose the first thing that started that phenomenon with like rewatching stuff again and again until you know all the lines and coming together and totally geeking out over a movie. It probably started in like I guess the biggest one must be um, the Rocky Horror show. Though I haven't seen that, so I can't make any observations around it. But I mean the phenomenon with going to a theater packed with fans and seeing older movies as well, the ones that have already been released and had their run and are like re-released, and people know all the songs and all the, you know, same phenomenon is going on with The Wizard of Oz and stuff like that, like classics. So it could even be way. I think it could be older than that. I think it could be dating back to the 50s, but I'm not sure. Um, anyway, Jurassic Park is also like one of those. It has huge flaws. Let's not pretend that it doesn't. Uh, but it's also so perfect in its entertainment value. Uh, it's just amazingly entertaining film. Um, so yeah, the only thing I sort of regret about that was when I saw it the first time in the theaters, I had I had a fever. So I couldn't really, I was too tired and sick to actually feel excited. I mean, I was excited, you know, but muted excited because I was sick, and I wish I'd waited until it was well to see it the first time because, yeah, it's epic. That's all you need to know. It's epic. And I mean, who doesn't love dinosaurs? I mentioned in the last video in this series that I was so obsessed with mermaids when I was a kid, and I was really, I had a huge mix of things that I loved. Mermaids was one, dinosaurs was another, uh, and yes, well, I played with cars and I played with all kinds of stuff, so I had a good range of things that I was interested in and loved, and dinosaurs was one of them. And I'd like to go to the have mom take me to um, the Museum of Natural History is the word I'm looking for. And if I was really really lucky, uh, she would possibly buy me one of those, anatomically correct and dinosaurs from the store there, which I later understood. I love those, but I didn't understand that they were so much more um, correct and nicely done than, ooh, the purple plastic one that you got in the normal toy store. I didn't realize that was like, and the price range was like, whoopsie. But so that was really sweet. I have really fond memories of that. But that is 93, actually. So that we have finally broken the 80s streak I've been going on. And now we're actually going in, move into the 2000. You'd never thought that would happen, would you? But Battle Royale. Uh, don't know quite how to like put words on that. But that film blew my mind the first time I saw it. And also, most of the films on this list is, in this series of lists, or what I should call it, is American. Simply because I have been mostly exposed to American movies. Most films on Swedish television are American. Uh, the most rentals and everything. It's and this logical reason behind it. There's a huge um, thirst for American movies generally, or like all over the world, and also American movies has a long, 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 long history from way back in the golden days. Um, so yeah, uh, unfortunately, it may be that you have to work a little bit harder to come across other films. But I mean, if you have a movie, if you have a film interest, you're going to be exposed to the classic, German expressionisms and French New Wave and all these types of stuff. And I think Kinji something is the director's name. This is a Japanese movie, released in 2000, and it became a huge hit. Um, for some reason, it was considered very like controversial, even though the violence in it is very, very exaggerated and cartoony. I would almost say splattery more than, shocking realism. Uh, so I never saw it like that, but I guess the social commentary is what made it um, controversial. But it I highly recommend it if you haven't seen it. It is a fantastic film, superbly acted, great music, great cinematography, direction, and yeah, it brings some thoughts to your head. And this is the movie that I mean, there's books and stuff way before this, and like the themes have been um, circulating and been worked on before. Um, but everyone, when the what was it called? The Mockingjay things, Mockingbird part, blah. What are they? What's the first title of those? I haven't seen those movies, but it's also like kids battling each other for survival. Killing game, or what are they called? I'm sorry, it's completely slipped my mind. But anyway, uh, this is the better of those movies, and it's not even in that series. This is far superior as far as, and I know I shouldn't say that because I haven't seen the other movies, but I mean, I've catched a scene or two and glimpses of. I mean, I've seen the trailers, I've seen the some things behind the scenes, and I've seen when it's been on telly, I've seen a few things, and it's. I shouldn't say this, but I think I can conclude that this is the better of the, fight for your survival um, type of thing, social commentary. We have too many children. We need to get rid of some of the population. So, superb movie. Absolutely superb. And there are many, many good Japanese films, definitely. And while we're on the subject of Asian films, there's a fantastic, fantastic 1996 Hong Kong comedy starring Stephen Chow, who is one of their absolute biggest stars. He's been a big star over there for quite some time, I think from the 80s at least. Through to the 2000s, and in the 2000s he also sort of he started his movies started being marketed to American audiences around Europe as well. And it's God of Cookery. And, well, sure, it might not be your cup of tea because it's typically wacky Hong Kong comedy. They do a lot of these. Um, but they have such great humor, at least, well, I think so, and many with me, of course, they're fans. But God of Cookery is, I think, I've seen many, if not most, of Stephen Chow's films. But then again, he's made so many, and sometimes he's just a bit part player, you know. Um, and they churn these out. They're so cheaply made, many of them. So they just churn them out. They can do like 5, 10 movies a year, the same actor or director, you know. And God of Cookery is my favorite one, at least of the ones I've seen. The tempo, the speed of which it moves by is fantastic, but not in a sense that you feel overwhelmed or just, it's too much. It's just bang, 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 bang. And you can watch it several times because there is so much funny stuff going on, stuff in the background, stuff in the foreground. Of course, there's if you have issues reading subtitles, I've never had that issue because I've always been growing up on American movies. I learned speaking English before starting school because of movies and reading the text. Um, and I'm used to that. I also like some people always watch the dubbed movies of like animated movies. They can't watch any of the animated Miyazaki's or Disney versions unless it's like in their own language. I always preferred to watch it in the original dub and watch and read subtitles if I had to, because I don't speak Japanese. I don't, and or Korean or Mandarin or anything, but I have no issues with it. I guess I read fast enough that I can multitask, between watching and taking in. And with a movie like this, where you could just you can get the gist of what's going on, mostly by body language and stuff like that. And I swear, God of Cookery, my God, the speed and the humor and the wackiness and the colors, it's extremely colorful and lots of like golds and yellows and it's fantastic. It's about a very snobbish cook who gets sort of challenged and he needs to regain his title in the cook-off sort of. It's also like a love story, and well, it's fantastic. I highly recommend it. If you like really wacky comedies at a fast pace, beautifully, cheaply but beautifully made. I mean, these Hong Kong movies are really a testament to how you can make superbly choreographed and written movies fast and effectively. Uh, and it doesn't have to cost much. People who look down on low budget movies should really take a note of these. And yeah, it's Stephen Chow, the man. Now, my next film on the list is very, well, you have to have a very specific sense of humor to enjoy it. And it's before Peter Jackson became a household name because of making The Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit. He was making splattery, low budget, black comedy, gore movies. And one of these is in his native New Zealand, is Meet the Feebles. Uh, this is one wacky movie as well. It's a black comedy. It's like a parody version of the Muppets, sort of, but it's also like it makes fun of the like industry, of the entertainment industry, and it's about this naive Muppet hedgehog looking for a job at the Feebles Variety Hour. God, that's a hard word for me to say. I'm sorry. And it's just uh, it's offensive and hilarious. Uh, lots of, silly humor, disgusting humor. There's a lot of puking and fucking and vomiting. Oh, I already said that, didn't I? Poop jokes. Uh, I mean, it's in poor taste, and it's supposed to be in poor taste. And if you are like easily offended, or if you don't, poop in itself is not funny, you have to make something of it. And Peter Jackson is a fantastic director in that sense. Um, a funny thing is as well as like I think Fran Walsh already at this time, this is 1989, was by his side and writing stuff with him. So they have a long history before The Lord of the Rings together. Uh, and this is a very quirky movie, but it's also fast-paced, funny, um, horrible. But it's very, it has like a sweet heart, and I think that's why I sort of like it. The naivety, there's like a little love story between the little newcomer to this group trying to fit in and trying to understand and get so shocked by all these things going on behind the curtains of this variety show. There's drug use, there's uh, porn being made in the cellar, with the director like drugging the chorus girls and taking them down there, and the show manager is like being uh, um, what's the word? Well, he's cheating on his wife. With the star of the show, or well, he's trying to keep her, the wife, still because she's the star of the show, but she's this huge fat hippo who he's just disgusted by, and she goes off on these, you know, binges when she's feeling sad, and the story is ridiculous. It's like taken straight out of a TV soap opera and put in this bizarre environment with these bizarre designed Muppets. Some are which like hand puppetry, some are like on a string, and some are like an actual person in a suit. But it is hilarious and actually rather clever and sweet when it comes down to it. So that's another recommendation.